I am unmuted. And we are transitioning in 3, 2, 1. How is it going, everybody? My name is DeMarco, and welcome to what I think is episode 9, unless I misnumbered it, of the Push Start podcast. That means officially, we're almost hitting 2 months of doing this, which is crazy. I know I took off 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, 2. So, I cheated a little bit. It would be technically 11, but I have a very special friend, that blue number, and I'm happy to see your face again because you've been absent for a little while, and I know that a lot of our audience is from the Red Wolf Renegade show, so they get to see your beautiful smiling face as well. But perfect. How have things gone? See, FarQ says we missed you. Cole was eating a pork stick. I just had pork as well. FarQ said Holly is off. Holly's here. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
I know your real name, FarQ.
Give me a second to make sure that you're just balanced with the audio as well, the music audio. So you've been gone for a while. Can you tell me what games have you been playing? Have you been playing anything? Or not really?
I've played Split Fiction and I beat it. And
you were streaming that on your channel that now has videos on it.
It's done. We finished it. Yes.
That's super fun.
It's done. The final boss battle is just like, I don't know. I kept playing. I was just like, how do they do this? How do they do this? It's got like mechanics in it that you don't see in most games, which is really cool.
That is cool.
It is. And the balance, the gameplay just feels fantastic. So played Split Fiction, beat it a week ago. And other than that, I really haven't been gaming, like hardly at all. I did notice that there were a couple things in Call of Duty that were expiring, some of those free events. So I did pop as many skins. Double XP. Yes, I'm not a big hurdles person, but when there's free stuff, then I want to get it.
Did you see there was a person who put out on Twitter, they were like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja skins, and then someone said, like, if you agree that there should be like filters to turn off all these ridiculous skins in the game, which I completely support, by the way. I think that would be a brilliant feature, and then I would want to know the percentage of people who turn it off to know exactly how many whales there are in Call of Duty. I would love to see that number. But
so you don't want to see me in my neon unicorn outfit with my little baby white unicorn that has a pink tail and a pink mane that trots next to me and then goes on his back and then farts in your face. It's great. I love it.
All right, Holly depressed me for the rest of the show. So that's the podcast, everybody. Thank you, everybody! I don't have an ending soon screen, so
we have a certain dynamic.
And it's you bragging about Call of Duty and then me complaining about Call of Duty. And no, I don't want to see that. That's legitimately the reason why I stopped playing. Like, I started I'm not even kidding. I started seeing those skins, and I was like, I'm just done. I don't care. I'm done.
I will agree with you, though, that I think, in all honesty, a lot of the cosmetics are honestly just ugly. Like, they're not even like, well, that's clever. I just think they are really weird and unattractive. And if they never had them, I wouldn't actually care. Like, you could monetize weapon skins. That makes sense to me, right? But what I also don't like about I could host an entire Call of Duty podcast. Just that's it. But that's not what we're here for because you hate Call of Duty. But I would just say one more thing with Call of Duty that I don't like that they do is that they sell everything in bundles. Like, stop bundling. Like, just let me buy this one skin. I don't want to spend all of this money for a big bulky bundle. And I think it actually does them a disservice. They could do both because, like, you're not going to get me to spend that just to get like this one or two things out of 12 that costs way too much for the one or two things.
I remember the I think Fallout 76 was notorious for that too. Like their bundles were just they put things in bundles that were just ludicrously priced. I don't know if you were able to buy things
do that too.
individually.
Yeah, you know I play Fallout 76
I know
too,
you play Fallout 76.
I get a lot of those.
But at least Fallout 76 has good new content coming. Like they just had the Ghoul update, and I can respect the content that has been coming out. So really quick, I just want to say hello, Red Wolf, hi Fark you, Chris Harris. I hope that you were able to find wet water since last week. I know that's probably a real big struggle. And if you can't stay, thank you for stopping by. You're here almost every single week. Pretty much every single week. You've been here every single week. And I appreciate that. So, Chris, love having you here. I only play the campaigns in Call of Duty. I hate the multiplayer. I run around yelling at people to get off my lawn. Don't worry, I do the same thing. Especially when appropriate. I'm half asleep, I have caffeine. Well, you can get some caffeine from your plain white mug. Sponsor of this channel, as always. Who else? Cole, welcome. I saw Influent, welcome. Fark you, Spieler. Let's go! Welcome to episode 9. And we will be talking about plenty of Bethesda stuff. Please let me know if the music is balanced. It seems like it's really loud over Holly. I don't want it loud over Holly. It should not be. We want to be able to hear Holly. She has a lovely voice. So, I listened to your last show with Jonas 3 times today. Thank you, Red. I'm glad it was that entertaining. Turn it down a little bit. I turned it down a pretty decent amount of it. So, there we go. There's new settings.
Oh, can I give you a very unhumble brag just for like half a second?
You may.
The president of Blizzard, Joanna Ferries, followed me on Twitter today.
Whoa!
She does Blizzard Activision. So I was kind of excited about that.
That is really exciting.
Cool. That is. Now I'm like, so I can tweet more complaints about Call of Duty now? Maybe they'll get read.
Oh, but maybe, but probably not, because I feel like Blizzard is the type of company that's just going to steamroll over and do what they want anyway. Yeah.
True story.
Yeah. I know they're Microsoft now, but I don't think that excludes them from kind of self-leadership in a lot of ways. But yeah. I did want to hear a little bit about Split Fiction. Yeah, tell them to get rid of the skins. That should be your first thing. Delete skins, delete skins, delete skins. No more unicorns. So what would you give...
I want my unicorn, though.
What would you give Split Fiction?
Oh my gosh. So I've played all of Joseph Ferris's games. I played Brothers when it was solo. And now they've done that remake and it's co-op, right? If you want it to be. And then I played A Way Out, and I played It Takes Two, and now this one. And I gotta say, like, they're all fantastic. Even like Brothers, which was the first, right? It's very good. So he's just great. But when you compare it to It Takes Two, because that was kind of, he's gotten better every time. He's perfected more and more. I think for me personally, the story in It Takes Two is way more impactful.
Okay.
There are impactful moments with this one.
It Takes Two was more impactful than A Way Out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know anything about It Takes Two. The only thing I know...
Have you not played it?
No, the only thing I know is A Way Out.
Okay, we should play It Takes Two. Please, we should play. It's so good. But there are those nugget of story in Split Fiction that's very good. But Split Fiction, I gotta say, the gameplay is better than It Takes Two. And It Takes Two is like, you play it and you're like, that's it. They perfected it. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
But Split Fiction actually takes it, elevates it, makes it that much better. It's constantly moving. The and it's right up your alley, and actually Jonas too, because you go and even Red, like it's just this
because
dynamic
it's for people with ADD.
Well,
lots of pretty colors.
It is. It actually super is, because you can never not just sit. There's a handful of cutscenes that you watch, but like there's no moment where you don't have to be doing something like fidgety or whatever. But like it's the story of two writers. One is fantasy and the other one is sci-fi, right? So you do a world in one and then you do a world in the other. But then in there are side stories. There's like 12 side stories that you find. And the side stories are usually a mini opposite of whatever. So like if you're in a fantasy world, it's because you have to find them.
Right.
And they're pretty obvious, but honestly the side stories are all like are so good. There was one, I've heard, not to spoil it.
Yeah, I've heard, just really quick, I've heard that the level of quality in the side stories in split fiction are what you want from main stories in other games. And these are just optional things that you may not find or do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, it's like there was one that if you like, even if you're just like, Hogwarts is okay, or the idea of Harry Potter or something like that, there's one that's just like it's just like magical. You're just like a kid. And then there's another one. It's really good. Really good. The side story stuff was almost more impactful than the main story stuff.
Wow. That's huge, especially we just got off, on Renegade Run podcast. We just had, an interview with oh god, his name is slipping my mind.
Dave?
Yes.
Dave Goodred?
Thank you. Sorry, Dave. You don't watch my show though, so I'm not actually sorry, but I am sorry. Yeah, we just got off, and he was explaining to us that like AI is big in the industry, and it's writing a lot of that side content. So, which is to be expected, right? Now that AI is kind of becoming more prevalent in games and writing, the fact that their side content is clearly A, human written, but B, is of that quality, I think, in this day and age, says a lot more than it did, say, 5-6 years ago. Just because now we have that growing influence of lower quality writing, and lower quality writing not just in side content, but in main stories too. Like, I just recently watched Mr. Matty Play's review of AC Shadows, where he said, like, this story is everything by the book. It's like, this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and it's just like every single traditional story beat that can possibly play out, it plays out no differently than you would expect. And that's fine. Like, Spider-Man 2 is still a great movie, even though it's just like the classic hero story. Well, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're wrong. Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is still a great movie, but it follows that classic hero arc, but it does it well. And so I don't know. I think we also talked a little bit about I think offline. No, was it on last week's show? We talked a little bit about sort of, Assassin was saying how Ghost of Tsushima sort of just kind of capitalized on that whole trend, but I don't want to go into AC Shadows. What would you give it out of 10, Split Fiction?
9.5.
9 and no halves. I don't do halves. Not on this channel. You got to pick one or the other. You got to commit.
So then I give it a 10. I give
All right.
I give It Takes Two a 9 and this a 10.
So 10 is perfect. They can't possibly do anything else better. Nothing was wrong with the game.
Well,
it could be perfect
I feel like
for
It
you.
Takes Two. I feel like It Takes Two and Split Fiction are equal because they're better in the opposite ways. You know what I mean? Like, story, fantastic gameplay, phenomenal gameplay, good story. Know what I'm saying? Like, they're like balanced in different ways.
Chris Harris says it's a 9.375. I'll accept that.
There you go.
One.
Thanks, Chris.
Infinite Gas was born because of Split Fiction. I don't get it. It would have been cool if the sci-fi and fantasy stories were getting mixed up, so you would have a cyber hacker in medieval times, or a knight getting stuck in software, or something like that. I'm surprised it doesn't happen during the story at all. I thought that would have been, like, probably the climax of the game, would be, like, these things colliding. I'm not going to go further on that, because that might be spoilers, but I assume that was where things would inevitably go. That seems like, even having not played it, that was my prediction from the get-go. And Farq says,
Lurk, yes.
Sorry. No problem. What I've played of Split Fiction, that's how I feel from playing it. The story doesn't feel as impactful compared to It Takes Two, but gameplay vastly improves and has more variety. So you're not alone in that opinion, which is pretty cool. And Game of the Year, yes. Chris says I've never played it. Don't listen to me.
You're wise beyond your knowledge.
And what I will say, the thing that Split Fiction and Hazelight has going for it too is just crazy to me that Jose Fares is as creative as he is, just from the games that he's making, but I think he had such a great marketing campaign with like shipping friends to people, and then they were like stuffing the guys in box. For those of you who don't know, the marketing campaign for Split Fiction was, hey, you can play with a friend. If you don't have a friend, we'll give you a friend. And they were like in the Friend Super Deluxe Ultimate Play with a Buddy edition. They were like sticking people in shipping crates to go play. And like that was just a massively creative way to do it. And then it led to a Discord that you could join and meet people who also didn't have someone to play with, which was such a brilliant idea. But then additionally, they did this super cool thing. And this is just story number 1 of our bite-sized stories. They had a secret level in the game, and then they flew people who found the secret level, which was done, I believe, by these Chinese speedrunners that found it, I think. They found the secret level, and then it's allegedly incredibly hard level, and if they beat it, the first players to beat it were getting shipped to a trip to Sweden to tour the studio, and I think probably get lunch with some of the studio members, including Fares himself. And that's just exception. That is such a cool way to do something like that to me. Have you played the level? Did you find the level?
No.
No?
So I want to go do it. I saw a little bit of it. I sneaked a peek at the YouTube video of the level, and I was like, oh, how did we miss this? And then it's like, there's one level that does have lasers and a ball, and you have to keep tossing it back and forth because it's got a timer on it. It'll explode if you hold it too long.
Okay.
You have to like cross an obstacle course while tossing a ball back and forth in time before it explodes. And that was difficult because you have to have really good communication with the person that you're playing
so you're
with.
sitting there like screaming at them like, I'm throwing it! And the other one's like, I'm not ready!
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like you just throw it and it just lands in this person's hand. Like they have to turn and catch it while they're trying to jump a laser or a platform or something like that, right?
Love those types of games.
Yes, and it was really good, but it was tough. So like I looked at that laser hell level that these guys did, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's a thing. That looks. I would love to do it because I would love to yell at somebody while I get to play that.
That's fun. It's like there's this mobile game that nobody knows about. I wouldn't even say it's like a mobile game, like not in the sense of like a Balatro on phones or something, or like the Assassin's Creed mobile games that they had. But it's called Space Team, and it's exactly that, where like everybody has their own set of, like you'll have like a dial pad with like 5 different things you can do. And then you'll get instructions for actions that are on other people's phones. And you all play it as a group, like in person together. But then it'll say, like, here's your instructions. You got to turn the dial to 5. But you don't have the dial that goes to 5. You have one that says ABC. You have one that goes up and down, like, in Roman numerals. 1, 2, 3. And then you're like, I need someone to turn it to 5. Well, that person who has a dial that needs to turn it to 5 is shouting that they need you to turn something that's on your device. And you're all just screaming at each other. And it's hysterical. A ton of fun. Check out Space Team. That's my endorsement. But
that sounds like Keep Talking or Nobody Explodes, right? Something sort of similar to that.
Yeah, it's in the same vein, but in this case, everybody has instructions that you're all simultaneously shouting to one another. While you're not listening while you're trying to listen for the person that has the instructions for the thing you need to do. So it's just absolute chaos, but it's in the same vein where you're trying to communicate instructions and the other person can't necessarily see it.
Yeah, I love Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes.
They have it in VR. I would love to. I don't have a VR setup anymore, space for it, but I want to get back into VR. I would do that in VR. I'm not going to do it in VR.
Too.
I don't have the.
That'd be fun with the ones that you have to twist and look for the stuff on it.
Oh God, yeah. I want to play Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes. I've never done that. But anyway, keep talking. We're going to keep talking about some other little bite-sized stories. This one's really, really quick. I don't think we need to spend too much time on it, but I was just really happy to see this. So Ark Survival evolved. I don't play Ark. I don't care for Ark personally, And yes, I'm reading from paper notes actually. So there you go. I'm very old school. They had an AI, a trailer that came out that was apparently riddled with AI just all over the place. And fans had a lot of backlash to that. And I think Ark Survival either took it down or they kind of commented and said, hey, we're sorry about that. So I was really happy to see that gamers and consumers are still kind of like pushing back against AI, especially because I think it's a massive threat to the industry and to creativity and to just a lot of other stuff. I don't really support it, to be honest, personally. So that was just a nice little feel-good story for me personally. And then Baldur's Gate news. Holly, we haven't played Baldur's Gate in ages. Yeah, FarQ saying next. That was it. Just wanted to bring that up quickly. But I think it's important to discuss that stuff, though, because, you know, we don't have a lot, like, developers aren't sitting here watching this stream. But I think most developers are scared because this is invading their industry. And so, for that reason, because we're talking about games and we want to support the people that make good games, I think it's important to call out when stories like that do happen, just because we want to continue to see games be great. And we want to continue to see games, you know, grow and evolve and have these amazing storytellings and these amazing cinematic moments, these split fiction moments that you only get when a person is behind the wheel for it, right? So, for that reason, and because, you know, there's all people, when people reject this sort of stuff and it encourages studios to say, all right, maybe we're not gonna go the AI, maybe we'll hire more developers internally or hire more video editors to make a good trailer, do game capture artists and all that stuff, because game capture is its own job entirely. I think that's pretty cool, but I think it's worth bringing up. So Baldur's Gate 3, I like Baldur's Gate 3. I've beaten it. Holly, I was playing it with you. We played it once in the past 3 months.
Is it all? Yeah, it's probably true.
It's my fault.
That's probably true. It's his fault.
It's my fault. But the time that we played, whenever
DeMarco texts you, do you want to play a game? You drop everything that you're doing in that moment because you're like, DeMarco is available and he wants to play. This is a rare occurrence. Like, I'm sorry, I can't go out to dinner with you. DeMarco has like put up the bat signal. It's time to play. I will catch you another time.
Yeah, sorry, Mom. I can't visit you in the hospital. DeMarco said he's available for games right now.
True.
Oh God. It is that rare. Recently, I've just been hooked on Marvel Rivals, so I haven't been doing, like, in my spare time, I've been like, all right, Marvel Rivals time, and I made it to Gold 2 now. I'm trying to get to Gold 1, and then whatever comes next, I think Sapphire. I want to hit Sapphire, and then I think maybe I'll stop, but I think at the point I hit Sapphire, by then it'll really have its tendrils in me, and I'll be like, I need to go another level higher! So, there you go. But I know you don't like those games, right? You don't care for hero shooters?
I don't like hero shooters, no.
All right. Even if you could play as Spider-Man? You like Spider-Man, right? Yeah.
I haven't played. You're talking about what? Are you talking about the game?
Yeah. I mean, no, just in general.
I haven't played it.
Like, if you could play as Spider-Man in Marvel Rivals, like, that doesn't encourage you?
Nah.
Okay.
No, I would play as the Hulk and Superman are my two favorite.
Well, Superman's not in the Marvel game, unfortunately, but that would be fun.
I know, but the Hulk is, isn't it?
The Hulk is.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I'll try to convince you to play as Hulk. Captain Boomerang?
Hulk smash.
Did you say you like Captain Boomerang?
Captain America.
Oh, Captain America. Oh, that's who I main. So Baldur's Gate 3, sorry, completely off topic. Baldur's Gate 3 was a massive success. Everybody knows this. Positive reviews around the board. Everybody loves it. It's unanimously the best RPG ever made. Period. End of story. Thank you. If you haven't played it, go pick it up. And of course, Sven, the head of Larian Studios, is a complete champion. I think he is one of the best people in game development right now. Recently, there was a small news story where he came out and he was stating like, "Oh, single player games are." I love this. He's like, "Single games aren't dead. They just got to be good." That's like the game development. I urge you to check Twitter before moving on.
Is it the movie? They just announced that they're making a split fiction movie.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Is it that good? Is it that good that you can make a movie from it?
I don't know how you're gonna make a movie out of it, but I guess.
Isn't what I guess because they're so story driven. Are there any details about this? Is it just like they're making it based on the game or in the game sort of universe with that lore and that technology?
It's getting a movie adaptation.
Okay, so it's going to be the game story. Would you watch that having played the game? It's like the Last of Us TV show or...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I feel like it's a big enough universe that you can do whatever, right? Like kind of like Fallout, it's such a big world that you can just like riff on it, and that's better than trying to just recreate what's done in the video game.
See, that's what that's what everybody appreciated about Fallout. So to see just an adaptation of split fiction moved on screen, like that's why the Last of Us TV show didn't stick with me at all. I was like, because the things they changed I didn't really like because I had my attachment to the game. I know you don't like The Last of Us anymore. It's on your no-fly zone list, but the show, the things they changed in the show I didn't like because I had my attachment to the game, and the things in the game that I liked weren't in the show sometimes. So I don't know. Copying one-to-one is a bit of a mixed bag, but that is really cool news. And I do you like this trend? The one thing I have to say is I'm not sure if I really like this trend of just video games getting so thrown into mass media these days, because it does scare me. It feels like it's kind of going through this growing shift of, hey, here's all these passionate people who are like, I just want to make some video games, man. And now it's like, no, these studios, these executives thinking, no, we need to make sure that this is marketable to mass audiences because we need to think about the film adaptation, we need to think about the TV show. And now because we're doing TV show, we know that the movie industry, and games are the same way too, to an extent, but the movie industry makes most of its money through merchandising. So when you have these massive TV companies that are doing it, they're like, all right, how are we going to merchandise all this stuff? So now that's going on. And that part of it, all that business side of it sort of scares me. The fact that it's reaching this massive appeal. That's not to say we haven't gotten cool things from it. Arcane, phenomenal TV show. Fallout, phenomenal TV show. Last of Us, cool-ish TV show. It's scary.
So it should scare you more with Sony IP than others, because Sony literally does all of the media, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why Horizon's getting a movie, TV show.
Something.
I don't remember. Yeah, they did Uncharted. I mean, they're just going through their list, right? Because it's kind of safe. And I mean, it doesn't make sense to turn successful video games into some sort of, watched media, because they know that they've got a lot of tie-in. They know they're going to pull gamers in almost instantly, right? It's a set already audience, and then you're just expanding on that with other people. The problem is when you do that with the intention of, like, it's kind of like Quantum Break. Remember when Quantum Break came out? They also had the TV show at the same time. In theory, it's a great idea. I have no problem with that concept. Just didn't really work that well.
Right.
So it is a problem in the fact that I feel like a lot of games currently are trying to shove a lot of things into them that aren't organic, or that are
this might work.
yeah like too over the top for what the setting of the video game is, just to try to suck in a few more people, right? Because they heard this is there, when in reality it doesn't really fit.
Right.
So I think that's more of a problem than the crossover to TV and movies.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I wonder how much control some of these studios too give up. Like Todd Howard, we know, was very on board with the Fallout TV show, and I think that's part of why it came out as good as it did. And we also know he said in interviews he was very selective about what project he took on, that he'd been approached tons of times in the past, and he said, no, because it wasn't the right project and it wasn't the right idea. But a lot of these studios hungry to breach into this market are now looking at it going to the highest bidder, which ties back into Baldur's Gate 3, or the Hasbro working with Baldur's Gate, because Baldur's Gate was such a success, right? That's a good segue right there. Baldur's Gate was such a success, and they said, quote, "We will hear more about Baldur's Gate in pretty short order. A lot of people are interested." And that makes me nervous, because Hasbro is, one, they own Wizards of the Coast. They also own, like, Magic the Gathering. If anybody plays Magic the Gathering besides me that watches this show, you will know that Magic the Gathering has been going completely and utterly insane. And I even supported some of the insane stuff. Like, I have my very own Fallout Mothman Magic the Gathering deck. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. It has a very unique mechanic. You spread radiation to other players. It makes them burn through their cards in their deck. Like, it's super fun. Everyone else that you're playing with hates it. I laugh maniacally as Mothman comes out on the board. It's great. But they also had Assassin's Creed cards. They had SpongeBob cards, I think, that came out. They have Marvel cards that are now coming out. Like, they are just going completely and utterly. And this is all Hasbro, right? Because it's all owned by Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, so on and so forth. And so I look at a company like that, and I see now Hasbro saying, yeah, tons of people are interested in doing Baldur's Gate whatever. And I get nervous because I don't think they're going to be as selective as, and I'm going to go back to that Todd Howard example, right? Todd Howard with the Fallout TV show, he waited to the right moment. He waited until he had the right project in front of him. And hey, Arcane Realm. Hey, Elemental Hero, the Shadow Link, Dragon Wolf King. I think I did that right that time. In one go.
That's the first.
Like Halo, the Halo show didn't. That is a first. Yeah, I forgot about the Halo show.
Yeah, well, we all want to forget there ever was a Halo show. It was so bad. Nope, but wait. You're kind of wrong on the Fallout timing, right? My problem with the Fallout timing is they missed a huge, massively huge opportunity to have a game ready to go at the same time, because you saw the numbers and the engagement in Fallout 76.
That speaks more to me that he didn't time that. You know why? Because... But
that's what I'm saying, though, is they should have had a game ready to go. And that's Bethesda / Todd's fault, because they don't want to give up, like, full control of the IP to anybody else. And I am a firm believer that Bethesda should take a small group of Bethesda, Obsidian, a small group of Obsidian people, and In Exile, a small group, because they've all done Fallout, and mash them up and make a little studio baby that's small and just does a Fallout spin-off. Doesn't have to be a mainline game. Could be like New Vegas was, right? A spin-off. And they should have had that ready to go. They're all under Microsoft. It's the perfect marriage. Like, they should have done that and had that ready to go when the TV show was launching. Or at least season 2, right? That's my opinion.
I agree to an extent. I agree completely with everything. I think this is like some of the most people we've had watching simultaneously. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. We're talking a little bit about Baldur's Gate, licensing the IP out, and sort of going on to some tangents here. But, hey, Solark, how's it going? Welcome, King Styles and Magic. It's awesome to have both of you here as well. I agree with you to an extent. And what I will say is, yes, I think Bethesda should sort of... if you're interested in this subject, by the way, like Bethesda splitting up, like Todd Howard exerting too much control, keep an eye on the Arcane Realms channel. Sorry if I just spoiled some, but keep an eye on the Arcane Realms channel for something coming soon-ish. But, also welcome Arcane Realm, if I didn't say hi to you. But I do think they should segment sort of teams and say like, hey, you are like the Elder Scrolls team, you're the Fallout team, and then... Because again, it goes back to like all these studios are scaling down, and I think that's we've talked in the past. That's what Bethesda lost, was that nice tight team sizes. So you break out individual teams. Of course, they get to switch from time to time, right? Someone doesn't want to work on Elder Scrolls every single time, day in day out. Someone doesn't want to work on Fallout, so let them switch out, let them breathe. But you kind of can cross pollinate those projects. I've become a leaker. Yeah, that's me, DeMarco the leaker.
Why is Arcane always showering during your show? I
don't know. It's just always a shower time. Let me know if the water's wet, and if you could share some with Chris Harris, who I think he had to go. But if you could do that again, that'd be great. So, yes, I think they should segment their teams. What I would also say, though, is I disagree with the timing. And the reason why I disagree with the timing is I have a lot of respect for Todd Howard, that he saw this opportunity. He said, this is the time to make the show. It's the right moment. Regardless if they could line stuff up and say, oh, but then we could get a boost to Fallout 76, and we could do this and that, and we could have all this content ready. He said, no, this is the time to do it. I'm doing it. And I respect him a lot for making that decision, because I think it does say kind of volumes to... He wants to make sure that there's a good product. And I know a lot of people are like, ooh, Todd Howard, he's out of date, he's old school, he's not, you know, he's kind of part of a dying breed, or he just doesn't know how to run the company anymore, or any of these things. But I do think it speaks a lot to say that he wants to wait to make sure that a good product comes out, and all these other factors be damned. It's just like, if this is what I need to do to make sure that it's good, I want to do it this way. And we got a really great TV show out of it, even if it didn't line up with Fallout 76. So, I don't know, maybe some people agree with that. Maybe some people disagree. That's totally fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. You're all individuals and adults.
But you're wrong.
But you're wrong. There you go. Holly said it for me.
By the way, I talked to Sven last year.
I know.
Did I tell you this?
Yeah.
And I
you told him about
you.
Me.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, I have this friend, and he made me play it. It's really good. And he comes to play it, multiplayer. And I was like, I just rambled. I don't think he said 3 words in like 10 minutes. I was like, la, 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 la. And then he's like, oh, you played a multiplayer? That's the way it should be. It's the best. Tell your friend that was the best choice. And I'm like, yeah, he dumped me.
Tell him to play.
Still in Act 1. I can't get the guy to come back.
So he also said, speaking of Baldur's Gate, he did, and Sven, he also, well, Sven didn't say this, but Hasbro did say that eventually they want a Baldur's Gate 4, but that's going to take a while. So when Hasbro's saying, yeah, people are interested in Baldur's Gate, I think they really mean D&D. Like, interest in the IP has grown monumentally. It also had a pretty fun movie. Check out the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out a couple years back. Honestly, it's a good popcorn.
Chris Pine?
Yeah. It was a good like sit back popcorn flick, have a couple drinks, bring your friends over. Like, if you haven't seen it, it was a great movie night. Like, you don't need to pay attention to it. It was fun. It was very, very fun. But what my question really, what I wanted to talk about was sort of, I would love to see if any studio is going to get to work with Baldur's Gate or Dungeons and Dragons. I know Saber Interactive is working on the next Warhammer game, but I really want to see, just in the style, it could be copy and paste. It can be just a reskin of Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2. I want to see that set in D&D universe, where there's just hordes of goblins and gnolls and like dragons in the background flying around, and you have bugbears and all these D&D creatures that are coming at you. Throw in like a purple worm. Let me get you some of the, hold on. I have look at it. Like just imagine you're playing a Saber Interactive game, and if I can find him, you have like these things running at you, sprinting on all fours towards you. Like, that would just be sick. And you're flying and you're flailing with giant battle axes and warhammers, and you have this thing somewhere off in the distance. Like, there's so many cool D&D monsters to pull from.
Ooh.
And
got throat cancer.
They all, I mean, a lot of D&D monsters have, or like this guy right here. Like, I don't know, you have Boom, right? Like, just so many interesting creatures to pull from.
Oh,
and
he looks like Rat King.
A little bit, yeah. Who else can I find? I'm looking for one specifically. I want to find a gibbering... Look up gibbering mouther. A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, element, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I know my alphabet, everybody. Does it have a picture of a gibbering mouther in this book? E, F, Frost Giant, Gouth, Frost Salamander.
That is the top thing that pops up when you start to type in gibbering.
Gibbering mouther? They are wonderful D&D enemies. I love pulling out gibbering mouthers. It's not in this book, but anyway, so many creative monsters that you could pull from, and Saber Interactive, I think, with like their melee focus, and then you throw in instead of, because obviously you won't have firearms, but the way that it could stand out from Warhammer Space Marine is by a magic system. Whatever magic and class system they use to throw in sorcerers and warlocks and monks and barbarians and all these classes that you get in D&D, I think that would be absolutely legendary. Legendary. So that is my pick for a D&D game. I'm curious if you have one that you, if the studio were to get licensed the D&D IP. I'll let you think on that. I'll let you think on that for a little bit.
I've never played D&D though.
You played Baldur's Gate, so you've played D&D.
Oh yeah, that's true. Have you played Gloomhaven or Frosthaven?
No. The tabletops or the computer version? Because I know they have a computer. Okay. No. I was interested in Gloomhaven, but I have been interested in Gloomhaven, but I look at that big box and I go, I'm not learning this because like...
Both of them. The setup takes like 45 minutes. That's why I have it at my house, and I have an entire room just dedicated to the board game. It just sits there. It sits there and waits till the next time people come over.
If I had a board game table where like you could put the overlays on top,
whole
and cover
room,
it
DeMarco. Yes.
If I have a whole room of
like
board
covers.
game tables, I'll just get 7 of them and I'll stack them on top of one another and put them against the walls, and then I could store them. I want that, but for a D&D room, even though I haven't written for D&D in ages. But yeah, tell me if you think, chat. What studio can I? Is there a way that I could do like a not poll here? I guess I don't know. Start a QA. Start a poll. Who should make a D&D game? Question mark. Bethesda, which I know they have Elder Scrolls, which is a D&D game, so it really doesn't count. I'm going to put Saber in here. I'm going to say, let's just say Ubisoft, right? Let's just put because Ubisoft games are all the same anyway. It doesn't really matter. And then, what's another company?
Respawn.
Respawn. Okay, Respawn. We'll put those 4 options. Let me know if any of those. For a Dungeons & Dragons themed game, it could either be Baldur's Gate, using the Baldur's Gate 3 characters and lore and mythos, or it could be something else. Or if you have a different option, feel free to chat it right there. Alright, so any other stories, any other small things that you want to talk about, Holly, before we jump into the main topics for today?
No.
Okay.
I've kind of not been in the scene too much, except watching Doom tweets all the time.
So speaking of Doom tweets, you actually reminded me, I wanted to talk about Doom. And this also would go into the bite-sized story segment. Hugo Martin, I think, has been doing an insane job with talking about Doom, the Dark Ages. So for those of you who don't follow Doom, the Dark Ages, there's been these periodic videos coming from id, where they basically just have Hugo standing in front of a camera talking about a subject of comments that are coming in. And the thing that I love about it is he talks about the criticisms towards the game. So one of the things that he specifically mentioned, the last one that came up, was Doom the Woke Ages. Have you heard Doom the Woke Ages?
Woke Ages?
Yeah,
no.
Doom the Woke Ages. Okay, so people were criticizing Doom the Dark Ages because they have in the game customizable settings. So you could choose like the bullet speed, you could make that faster or slower, your movement speed, you could control faster and slower, and all these customizations options to make the combat difficulty kind of exactly the way that you want it. And people have been calling it Doom the Woke Ages because the criticism levied at it has been the Woke Ages magic. Cole says a D&D game on Creation Engine would be awesome. I don't know if BGS writers can handle multiple choice anymore. That is true. I really want Elder Scrolls 6 to dive into the choice and consequence a lot more, and they haven't been doing a good job with that, but we're not getting into that discussion today. So, Doom the Woke Ages, because they're saying that, okay, it is not going to take the time to make the difficulties actually fun, because they're just going to let the players do whatever they want, and all the difficulties are going to be whatever, and so it's Doom the Woke Ages because it's dumbing the game down. It's dumbing the game down by giving players more options. I saw you just roll your eye because we both know it's ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
It's a load of hogwash. It's a load of what's a sillier word than hogwash?
Hogswoggle.
It's a bunch of hogswoggle. The word of the day, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bunch of buffoonery. Basically, but I like that he addressed this comment. And the reason why because I also had the same concern, if I'm being honest. I was like, okay, so are the difficulty settings, I know they're going to have them, but is it really going to be like less of a focus for id? And he directly does, and I'm not a casual player, I would say, as far as Bethesda specific games. And he came out and said, no, that's not true. We're spending just as much time tuning the experience. These are the preset difficulties. These are what we think internally should be the way the game is meant to be played. And then you can further go in. And he even said, he goes, most people are not going to take the time to go and play around with all these sliders. They're just going to want to pick a difficulty, get in the game, and go. Right? So...
Yeah,
exactly, right? And he's completely right. And I like that he addressed it directly. He said, it's not Doom the Woke Ages. And he rolled his eyes at it. And, you know he's being a bit snarky about it. But he also did it very maturely. There wasn't some tweet. I know a lot of people have been having issues with, some developers responding to grums immaturely. They think developers should just leave it alone, which I agree. But he came out, he addressed it directly. They're going to focus on difficulty, make sure that it's targeted the way it's supposed to be, and additionally, they are going to allow you to go in and customize that if you want. And he said that developers were doing some interesting things, so they would make the difficulty a lot harder by changing the bullet speed to make it a lot slower, but a lot more lethal. And so they were able to kind of capture...
that's cool.
While the movement speed was still very speedy. So they were able to capture a little bit more of the classic Doom feel by tuning these sliders. So I respect that a lot. I think he had the right idea. And I wish more companies would address criticism this way, is sort of the broader way that I wanted to address this topic as a whole and commend id for doing. Because I think it's a very mature way to handle it. Not sending out tweets that are... I don't know. So...
Yeah. To be fair, though, they have a much easier job
I want that
than a lot of games coming out.
To be fair.
What? To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair. To be fair. They have an easier job than a lot of people do because it's Doom. Like,
yeah.
It's just a testosterone-filled rage fest, and it's amazing, right? Like, so how much of it can it really... Like, you don't have romance themes in this. You don't have pronouns in this. You don't have, now, I guess the way they could have done this is if they made Doomslayer. Yeah, or if it was an optional Doom Slayette.
Yes!
People would be like, oh my gosh, right?
Honestly, I want there to be a Doom Slayette. I think that would be awesome.
She would totally have, the Princess Leia, when she was on the barge, when she was with Jabba, right? Yep. The cone bra thing and the skirt, that would be Doomslayer with a fur coverlet over
oh god, yeah.
booty
You know what would
stuff.
be yeah. It's like go back and look at the Elder Scroll. Is it Morrowind or I think it's Arena? They just have this woman. It's it's Bethesda game. They just have this woman in the complete lingerie armor basically, where she's at the front holding her battle axe or something. It's just I want to keep talking, but I want to find what cover that was on.
That's amazing. No, I think that's of course people would have a huge problem with that if you could choose male Doomslayer or female Doomslayer. Yeah, show it.
I'm gonna pull it. You keep going while I try to find a picture of this.
But I think a lot of those goofballs that would have a problem with the female Doomslayer would suddenly not have as much of a problem if she was in a fur bikini, right? Walking around with fur boots up to her knees and a giant battle axe or the shield or whatever, right? They want to be mad until she's a sex pot, and then they're like, well, I guess we could probably let this one slide.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I'm gonna put this up here so you guys can see. I don't have image. There we go. Add source, new. I'm gonna just label this as
also
delete me.
Today is the 5-year anniversary of Doom Eternal.
End of Elder Scrolls. Well, not 5-year. It's a lot longer than 5 years, but for Elder Scrolls Oblivion as well. Here's the cover, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna cover our faces for just a second. That's the cover for Arena.
19th.
And
oh my gosh!
Like,
that's not a bikini. That's a Band-Aid.
No, yeah, I forgot. I even had it. I had it misconstrued that there was more armor. There was more armor on her than there actually is. Like, I forgot that's what the cover is.
That was your baby brain remembering it.
But, like, that's just a funny, like, this is, so if Doomslayer comes out wearing, like, that, but with fur-lined stuff and the big old Doom helmet, like.
Yeah, it'd be fine. People wouldn't say anything then.
Oh my god.
And fur boots.
And fur boots. Big old fur boots.
Yes. Big old fur boots. I love her hair. Her hair is amazing. Sorry, I'm a girl.
Bernada Band-Aid Kini.
Well, to be fair, Slow Lark, I mean, how much armor is really going to protect you in battle anyway? You might as well look good while you're doing it. Like, what's a leather platelet gonna really protect you when you're like dealing with demons? Might as well be hot and do it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So thank you, Red Wolf, $5 super chat. I appreciate that, Red. Thank you so much. He said, this is their answer to the criticism Doom Eternal being too difficult. If we can't get it balanced correctly, then we can put it in the player's hands. Yeah, 100%. They can just, here, let you guys, we don't make the game the way you want here. You guys make it however you want. And then we still have the difficulty. Let me just go catch up on some chats here that I missed. Jonah said it's basically what some would do with mods anyway if they could. Let them, but I think it's fair then to treat the modding experience looking at achievements.
There's a psychopath on the loose.
There's a psychopath on the loose. And the psychopath is Chris. Chris is a psychopath. Chris is an absolute psychopath. Thank you, Chris. You have no idea how much that means to me, especially given some stuff that's going on in the background. So I really do appreciate it. That is really, really generous of you. As always, you continue. I hope with all of your generosity that your water continues to be wet. May your water forever be wet, and may the divines bless your kind heart. I need to get that as a soundbite to use for the super chats. I also need to make another review so I can have more skits to put on for the pop-ups. Cough, cough, Indiana Jones that I haven't started. Cough, cough. Well, I started the game, but the Indiana Jones review. The weather's getting nicer, so maybe we'll get started on that one. Thank you, Chris. He says, politics has invaded every hobby, sadly. It has, but I think we're starting to see a bit of a reversal to that, which I think is good. And hopefully we continue to see that continue. I want this bigger. Can I love these notifications so much. This one was, you pay with your blood. Thank you, Fark you. I'm a cheap psychopath. You're under arrest. Return your stolen goods. And you did. You returned your stolen goods. So thank you, Fark you, for the 2 Monopoly monies. I appreciate it. Let's see. I honestly don't want a female version of Doomslayer, says the elemental hero, the Shadow Wolf, Link, Dragon Wolf King. Can't do it twice in one night. I feel it would remove Doomslayer that both guys and gals look up to, who know Doom from the lore, story, and the characters. Yeah, I don't play Doom for the lore, to be fair.
Doomslayer. Yeah, I want a dude. I want big dude.
Would you
Doomslayer dude.
Would you like it if Doomslayer, if they did a female Doomslayer and she came out in just bikini armor, and then you had a male Doomslayer and he came out in Speedo armor, Who would you play as the male still, or would that be like, I don't want... Okay.
I would absolutely be the dude. I'd rather look at that guy all day long. Hell yeah.
What if... All right, so how about this? How about this?
Look
So
at him in the armor. What do you think I'm actually picturing when I watch him run around in this armor? It's not the armor.
It's the armor. So what if the armor gives him the shape and the 4? I like that this is like the most people I've had watching this show, and this is what we're talking about. It's wonderful. But... that's the armor, but it's really just the armor that I know we saw him in first person without the armor in 2016 as he's getting out at the altar. But in Doom, the Dark Ages is a prequel. So let's just say hypothetically, the armor is what gives him that physique. But then when he takes it off, it's actually like Chris Evans in the first Captain America movie. You know when they photoshopped like
Henry Cavill? You mean?
No.
Oh,
It's Chris.
you mean
it's,
like
it's Chris Evans.
when he pops out of the.
No. I mean before he pops out, before he gets the soldier serum. Have you ever you've seen? Probably not in a while.
Yeah, when he's like 101
yeah.
pounds,
It's like as soon as he takes off the armor, it's like this heroic masculine.
Show his arms.
It's like heroic masculine Doom guy face, and then it's like the Chris Evans body in.
I would never play another Doom ever again. I'd be so disappointed. It would have ruined all of my fantasies and imagination about Doomslayer forever and ever and ever. Like that would actually maybe go down in history worse than The Last of Us 2.
I honestly would love that. I would love that just for the... I would like that, and then you start, and that's what the game is at the start, and then, like, 15 minutes in, he, like, gets something that... Like, he gets a demon ritual or something.
Injection or something.
Yeah, that, like, beats it. But just, like, to get people freaking out. I want that... Not only do I want that to leak. And then it says, this is what Doom guy looks like. It has gone woke. And then you see him as like a scrawny, ugly dude. But then like 15, 20 minutes into the game, he becomes Doom guy.
That's the only way it's acceptable.
I'm just a bit of a dick. I want to just make everybody miserable. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with Doom? I know that's like your favorite game coming out.
Oh, I'm so excited for it. No, not Doom, because I'll be tweeting about Doom for like ever very obnoxiously until the game comes out, and then after I am gonna start playing Doom Eternal. I would have loved to start today, but I can't today. And this weekend I'll be busy. So next week I'm gonna start streaming, and I'm gonna start streaming Doom Eternal in preparation for Doom: The Dark Ages.
Nice. I will 100% try to make sure that I catch those streams because I would love to. I've already played that, so it's not going to spoil it for me the way that Split Fiction would. Which you now have a channel. Which, if you want, please link that in the chat so that people can find your wonderful channel and catch your game streams. I'm in a phase right now where I enjoy watching people. I go in phases where I want to play games and then I want to watch them. I'm in a phase right now where I'll play Marvel Rivals, but I want to watch people play games more than I actually want to play them myself. So definitely check out. Thank you, Jonas. Go check out her channel there. You can catch her Split Fiction stream as well, on demand.
There are legitimately games that I'm interested in, but I don't want to play. Like Returnal. Like, I could have played Returnal. I didn't want to play Returnal, but I was interested in watching somebody play it just to know what the game was and to see how it turned out. That's happened. Totally. Yeah.
All right. So, moving on to... We're probably not going to get through the other subject that I had today for the main stories, which... so, I'll just make this one really quick. Bethesda... This is in the thumbnail, so I feel like I need to spend more time here. I was really excited to talk about this. Holly, I specifically wanted you on to talk about this one. I'm glad we got the Doom discussion in. But I specifically wanted to talk to you about one of these stories I have here, which is that Game Informer is coming back. They basically sent out a small tease, and this came on their Twitter page, where... I know that I have the Bethesda showcase topic up. Let me just... I don't want to take up too much time and go too late here. But they basically said they had a small little video message kind of get teased on their social media pages, where they said like "to be continued?" something along those lines. And then a bunch of former editors at Game Informer had also kind of shared this out and shared similar teases as well. So the entire archive, for those of you who don't know the situation with Game Informer, the entirety, it's owned by GameStop. They shut it down. The entirety of the archives, the internet archives of all those stories were completely and utterly taken down too. So years and years and years of journalism just wiped away, basically overnight. I think the team wasn't alerted that it was happening, so they were just all like finding out through social media. It was a horrible way to do it. But they're coming back, and so the question I wanted to pose to you, because I thought you'd have some really good insights, is, you know, something like Game Informer. Do you remember X-Play? Did you ever watch X-Play, the TV show? It was with Morgan Webb and
long time ago, right?
Yeah. And then they kind of brought it back, and it was It was a horrendous return of that, and so it really didn't last very long. With the current state of games journalism and mainstream games media, do you think that Game Informer can really survive on sort of just a nostalgia factor alone? Or do you think that it's sort of dead in the water? Like, they're going to be preying on nostalgia, they won't be able to find a new audience, and that's kind of it.
It's interesting, right? They said their whatever announcement it is March 25th. So if you're interested in Game Informer, watch their channel on March 25th. But I got those Game Informers because I have a GameStop membership. I never used it.
But I love the articles. I love getting them in the mail. Like, I still have some.
Yes. And the art was so great. I just threw away the last ones that I had because I was just like, I don't have room. And then they were older games and stuff like that. But I don't know if you also heard, after they were shut down, they're based in Minneapolis, or they were, and 2 months later or something like that, some of the editors were walking through the Mall of America, which is in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and they were walking by the GameStop, and there were statues and posters and all of the really cool stuff that they'd gotten from the industry over time. It was splayed out in this GameStop as its own artifacts, or its own paraphernalia that they were just showing off and stuff, and they were really upset. I don't blame them. Yeah. And I think Game Informer is a little unique compared to IGN or GameSpot. I always get those mixed up.
Yeah.
And they're too
Kotaku,
close.
GamesIndustry.biz.
Yes.
List goes on.
Yes. Because they have always stayed out of the BS that a lot of the others have. And they've never gotten a reputation for ever aligning themselves with one platform or the other.
And I think that was because
people just loved them.
I think that was because they were print primarily. They had the website, obviously, and you could go read the articles online. But primarily it was print, and so they had to have all these stories, and so they couldn't focus as much on the hit pieces and the where traditional media went down is all the opinion pieces, and then people say, oh, we don't agree with this, and you're kind of pushing X narrative, Y narrative, right? We've seen that plenty of times, and then people lose faith in them. And because of if you look at IGN news section, which I do when I'm trying to find topics for my podcast, right? I still go to IGN. I look, all right, what's some of the headlines that are going on? And it's this article was posted 5 hours ago, 5 hours ago, 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. They need that amount of content to stay relevant. And that's why you get a lot of opinion stuff from a lot of writers. And I don't know what the approval process is for their journalism, because I've never worked there and I don't know people who work there. But Game Informer can't do that because it was primarily print. Maybe their website did that, but I didn't go on their website ever. I looked forward to the, and so they were always more of
I
the
wanted
news.
it in the mail.
Yeah, I wanted it in the mail, and so they were always more heavy on the news, and they always focused on kind of getting bigger stories that had a lot of substance to them.
Well, they also had to have stories that, like, when it comes out in 3 weeks or a month later, were still relevant, right?
Right.
So they were forced to, so just by that narrative or by that timing, they're forced to stay to the games themselves and like the information about the games versus what the latest argument is on Twitter, right? And the other problem too is that a lot of these IGN and some of the others, right? The actual journalists at these places, they very much actively use their own Twitter attached to their IGN persona to talk about personal stuff, to talk about their political opinions, to talk about the religious opinion, whatever it is that can be inflammatory. And again, when you are the face of, and your Twitter following is because of your business or who you work for, then one would argue that you sort of have to, or that you should be using your account in a protective manner for your employer. Some employers don't care these days, but that's part of what Game Informer kind of stayed out of too, right? Is because people didn't necessarily open it and say, well, I can't wait to find that next article next month from Chris Harris, right? Let me go see what it is, and let me go look at his Twitter and see what he said there. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Like, it's different.
So do you think that, like Ryan McCaffrey, right? Huge name for IGN. Destined to before he left, right? Just names that people know that work for these big companies. They carry weight, they carry respect, and people look at that and they go, hey, these are generally like good people to follow. I like their takes, and I follow IGN because I follow specifically these people in it. So I guess there is a bit of a give and take there, but they're a dime a dozen, right? You have how many people working in IGN and how many Ryan McCaffreys?
Yeah.
One.
And I would also point out that Ryan doesn't really use his Twitter for anything but gaming.
Yeah,
IGN
and he shares
stuff.
It's usually like good takes too, or I've disagreed with him on plenty of things, but it's never been elements that I go, okay, I can't like, why are you even saying this, right? What's wrong with you? Sort of reminds me of a bit of like Paris in that regard, because, you know, Paris is always, I don't follow Ryan McCaffrey close enough particularly to say that this is how he always is, but the things I've seen is what I'm referring to, where like Paris is always just sort of trying to celebrate games and be like, hey, like, this is super exciting, I'm looking forward to this, I'm looking forward to that, like, here's this cool thing this developer did. That's all I ever see from Paris, really, and what I've seen from Ryan is about the same, so he's not diving into all that other stuff like you mentioned. Arcane Realm, have you heard of the High Elves? No, I have not. Any news from the other provinces? Goodbye. So, I love the Oblivion dialogue. I hope in the Oblivion remake, they correct that, but also they keep that in some instances too. I want to see that interaction, if that does come up. Yeah, so, do you think it's even going to come back as a physical print media, though? That was my other, I don't know if it would.
I think they'd have a hard time doing that, because even like massive print media, like food magazines or Vogue, you know, like they're having a hard time with print. It's just too expensive, which is a shame, because to everything that we just talked about, right?
Yeah. So
I just hope that if they are coming back, and they're coming back as an online only media, that they find a way to preserve the integrity and the the high regard, I think, that people do have.
The last little caveat I would throw your way is that now, and I'm not a fan of this, honestly, but now you look at like Sony and Xbox and kind of their strategy for marketing games and talking about games, and it very much is, hey, we'll do this tiny showcase and show off 4 games, and then we'll do that like once every couple months, like once a quarter even. I hate these tiny showcases. They're fun. Like, sometimes it's like, oh, Doom's gonna be there, like, woo! But as a whole, I hate these little micro showcases. I hate the developer directs. That doesn't mean I won't get excited for them when a game I'm interested in comes around. But I think that the excitement around sort of Summer Games Fest, what used to be E3, and the Game Awards, and all these big reveals, it ties into what I liked about Game Informer. Game Informer. What I liked about Game Informer was you would have these massive scoops, and there's all of these exclusive details in them that was like, look at this massive preview. And now you kind of have like IGN First gets that a little bit, right? And they do their coverage on games. I think it hits differently when you're sitting there with like a mat and you turn the page and you're like, like going through it and you're seeing the concept art right there in front of you, and but the developer direct sort of took away from that, and I think that's also why you don't get a lot of these scoops and why like IGN clamors for these IGN First, and anytime they have a big game in that, they're pumping that out because it's a huge deal, because obviously nowhere else is covering it. But these mini showcases, I think, do take away from it, which I believe might make it difficult for something like a Game Informer to continue that style of coverage, especially if it's now going to be online, where they don't need to have these things planned weeks or months in advance.
Well, the flip side to that is that, you know, good or whatever your opinion of IGN is that I do feel like they've lost a lot of credibility kind of wholesale across the market. And they've also bought up a lot of the small sites like Rock, Paper, Shotgun and some of the others. So they're all being controlled by the same, you know, overarching media company. But Game Informer isn't, or at least we don't think it is. You know, unless they get bought up by IGN, or the parent company. But IGN's lost a lot of credibility, and Game Informer, they know that, you know, they've got a strong following. People like them. They have 2.3 million followers on Twitter, right?
Yes.
So they're doing well. Like even though they're not a thing anymore, they still are doing well. So they might start getting some more of those. If they do go online, they might start getting some more of those exposés and the firsts and things like that. And their reputation is still good. So if they cannot go the way of IGN, then they have a pretty good chance of, you know, taking off successfully. It's just, you got to have the right person running the circus.
Gotcha. Yep, completely agree. All right. So Fark you, I'm trying to save it, but it's done as like a weird file format. Like the .file name is strange and not saving correct. Oh, maybe this one will work if I do this here. Hold on.
Oh, I always have to rename it. All right, .jpg. Yeah,
Okay.
that JPEG large thing doesn't
Okay, I
work.
think I got it.
Yeah.
I think I got it. Just put this up here. There we go. Fark, you
Just
made a
screen cap, you boomer.
beautiful face swap for us. There we go. That's the crew right there. Lovely. It's me. I peaked when Elder Scrolls. That's what I look like when Arena came out. Actually, it's been.
Marco, who's your surgeon? They're fantastic.
Very good. It was very good. It was very expensive. Also the de-aging, because I'd probably be like 20 years older. So there you go.
Assassin has an epic beard. I'll tell you that much.
He does, yeah. All right, so going to move on to our last subject here, which I know we've been going for quite a while, so I don't want to get you sleepy, and I know I get cranky, Holly, once shows
He
start
needs his nom noms.
going late. I'm sure you need your nom noms too. Let me just get here. Boom, 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 boom. And then I can update this and we'll transition. So, the last but not least, super exciting to me. I don't know, maybe not to you. And the highlight of today's story, or of today's thumbnail, we're finally getting to it. What is it? An hour and 40 minute? An hour and a half into the show. We're finally getting to it. Bethesda has a lot of stuff going on. I'm excited because I love Bethesda. It's my favorite gaming company still. Get to the clickbait. I changed the title. Look, Jonas, you called me out. I changed the title. Before, the title was like some new leaks, which they're kind of leaks, but I changed it. Bethesda has a lot of interesting stuff going on. So Nate the Hate recently, we talked about on last week's show, we talked about how Nate the Hate leaked that a potential Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake, which appropriate that we're talking about this once again on the anniversary of Oblivion, 19 years, I believe. So an Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake is supposedly going to be announced in April and released in April. Now, Oblivion is my favorite game of all time. I think it's not one of the best RPGs of all time, but it's certainly one of my favorites. And it is the game that I attribute to making me the nerd that I am today, so it holds a very special place in my heart. This leak came out. It started resurfacing some people speculating and talking a little bit about Starborn, the Starfield DLC, that is coming after, of course, after Shattered Space. And now, additionally, there was recently something that kind of leaked out into the wild where on the Creation Club, somebody had uploaded a creation that had the PlayStation available platforms, cited PlayStation was one of the available platforms, which is really, really interesting to me for a couple reasons. One, because it was immediately the logo was taken down, the PlayStation logo, and then shortly after there was an update where the entire creation was taken down. And it's interesting to me that this came up on Creation Club for a couple reasons. For starters, we've fairly been speculating. Holly, we talked about this just a little bit before the show. We've been speculating. There's going to be a PS5 release for Starfield. It's coming at some point. We know that it's coming. So this sort of confirms that a little bit further. It's interesting with Creation Club specifically because I think they might be trying to do something similar to what they did with the Legendary Edition of Skyrim, or the Anniversary Edition of Skyrim, excuse me, where they had whole new creations and sort of this Creation Club dump of stuff that came out in tandem with the release of that game. And so I speculate if they're going to do a PlayStation 5 release, I really think that they might be doing something similar, where they're going to say, hey, it's coming out on PlayStation 5. Additionally, here's all of this new Creation Club content that is also releasing day one on PlayStation 5 with the release of the PS5 version of Starfield. And then not only that, but we also have the Starborn DLC that we're ready to announce and talk about. Now you have 3 exciting Starfield announcements, and on top of that, all of this is happening on the cusp of when we've heard that the leaked Oblivion remake is possibly coming. Makes me think that Bethesda might have something bigger coming along. You can see my enthusiasm. I really do like Bethesda. I know I don't like Starfield that much. If I'm being honest, I would give that game like a solid 6 out of 10. I really don't think it was that great of a game. But I do think that Bethesda can still make very good games. So all of this on the cusp of a potential Bethesda Oblivion remake that also may be coming sometime around April. And then don't forget, we have a little old Indiana Jones and the Giant, Legend of the Giants, Mystery of the Giants, Shadow of the Giants, Something of the Giants, Stars of the Giants. Still Wakes the Giants. The name is officially out there, right? For the Indiana Jones DLC. I forget the exact name for it, but there is Shadow of the Giants. Something with giants. Well, I'm letting the audience kind of put 3 and 7 together, right? So you have just all of this exciting stuff.
That's 22.
There you go. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 2 is 29. Where's the missing dollar? If you don't know that, then look that up. Great little riddle. So I think all of this is sort of tying together into a much more exciting announcement where Bethesda can very easily put on just a Bethesda-centric showcase where they announce all of these things. And then simultaneously you could also say like, hey, Indiana Jones is also coming to PlayStation 5. So that's a lot of announcements. And I would arguably say that's a lot of announcements even to have in just a developer direct, because developer directs are going to want to showcase things from a lot of other places. And then also, I'm just gonna add a little bit here to that all as well. That's right, wide those eyes, because on top of all of this, you also have a lot of leaks coming from the Fallout Season 2 TV show, where we've seen, I'm not gonna obviously not share those out, but we've seen a lot of pictures from the sets that is starting to come out, which happened right before Fallout Season 1. It's happening again. So you have all of this stuff that's going around. It seems like a bigger showcase might be... Have I convinced you, Holly? A Bethesda showcase in April? A Bethesda showcase in April. Shadow drop. Maybe Nate the Hate got the shadow drop wrong. Maybe the shadow drop will be Starfield on... Because he said it's potentially going to be shadow drop. Shadow drop will be the Starfield stuff. Not the DLC. But the Starfield on PS5 with a whole slew of Creation Club content. Then they have the DLC announced for PS5.
Is it PS5 Pro enhanced? Is it going to play better on the PlayStation than it is on the Xbox?
I don't want to go there.
I'm just asking if you think that that's also part of the package. This is not a console war thing. It will be a console war thing for certain people.
I think it has to be. I think that, Sony, they're getting the game. Let's be honest, the game does not have nearly the player count. Like, just out of curiosity, I would like to see because I've done this in the past where I've looked at, like, what is the Starfield player count on Steam versus Skyrim. So there's 3,500 people on Steam.db, 3,500 people that are playing Starfield right now. If I look at Skyrim, we go to the special edition. There's 24,900. There's 25,000 people versus.
Oh my gosh.
Versus the 3,000 in Starfield.
8 times the amount.
What does Skyrim VR have? 323. Okay. And that doesn't include, so that's in the Skyrim Special Edition. That doesn't include the additional 1,400 people that are in the base version of Skyrim playing right now, which is weird to think about, but that 33% of Starfield's Steam player base is playing the Old Rim. 33%. That's wild to think about to me. But so I know that Starfield doesn't have the popularity. Red, you can stop. It's not amazing, clearly. The audience has spoken! Yeah, and Jonas is saying that's Skyrim's player count on Steam. So if you think, like, okay, we have to do the same for Starfield, like, 3,200 people playing Starfield on Steam. So if you assume, like, ratio-wise, it's 8 times the amount of players on Steam playing Skyrim. So there's probably, let's just say, 8 times the amount of people on Xbox. And that also includes PlayStation, because Skyrim is on PlayStation. So comparing them is asinine. I don't know if it is, because they're both Bethesda games, and it just goes to show, like, what players want out of a Bethesda game. I think it just really highlights what players want. So I don't think you're not comparing Starfield
it's not like
to Horizon.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, you're not comparing Starfield to Cyberpunk or Starfield to Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Or to Uncharted. Yeah, that's not including the Alexa version, right? Did you ever play the Alexa version of Skyrim?
No.
It's honestly fun for,
I
like...
didn't know. I know there was one on TVs. I didn't know there was one on Alexa. I'll have to try that.
There's one on Alexa. It's honestly terrible. It's funny. It's funny it's funny for the memes, but it's not good. But anyway, welcome, Dom. By the way,
you should ask Alexa to tell you some certain jokes, and she won't appreciate your request. It's pretty funny.
I don't have an Alexa.
She will tell you off.
I try to keep all of those smart home devices out of my home. I hate them. I know my phone's listening to me. I know my Xbox is listening to me right here, but
definitely.
And also this Xbox right here, and also this Xbox. Yes, I have 3 different devices for phones. So I have 3 pieces of spyware that are right next to me right now. Don't question it. But anyway, so I think that, did I convince you that a wider showcase could be coming in April or no?
I think that it's possible.
Okay.
I do believe that the Oblivion announcement and drop is going to be in April. I kind of think that it would not surprise me if Xbox held any other like major Bethesda announcements until the June showcase, because at that point we're only 2 months from June. So there's always that section that Bethesda just kind of gets to themselves in the middle that does like the Fallout 76 roadmap and maybe some Elder Scrolls new stuff, right? That's coming out. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kept the Starfield announcement until then. Plus, it gives them time to we don't have a date for the Starborn. It's just still a rumor, right? It's definitely coming to PS5. I am no
the whole thing.
doubt.
So the thing about Starborn that's worth considering too, is that was coming from the leaks from the Microsoft trials, which at this point was 3 years ago now, or 2 years even. So
yeah.
I always get one person to thank you to whoever disliked the stream. By the way, you are helping the algorithm, whether you know it or not. Likes and dislikes, YouTube kind of considers them just as engagement. So appreciate you. Yeah. So, so I ended the last poll. Who should make a D&D game? I threw in Ubisoft as kind of the joke one and 0% for Ubisoft. Which thank you everybody. You're all intelligent. That proves to me that there's semblance of intelligence in the chat, at least a little bit. Won't give you guys too much credit. But
you found your troll. Your troll is in the chat. They admitted it.
Who admitted it? Who was this? It was me after the Starfield comment. That's okay, Red. You could dislike me. Chris, thank you for being here. As always, thank you for your time and dedication. Holly, it's nice to meet you. You got a new friend, Holly.
Hello, Governor.
Chris, thank you so much.
When I do an exit.
Chris, thank you so much for being here. Always appreciate you and your support. I hope you have a wonderful night. I think you said, I believe you had an early morning, so please get yourself some sleep and hope it's not too bad tomorrow, and hope you're taking care of yourself and your kids and everything else and the rest of your family as well. So there you go. But thank you, seriously.
It was nice to meet you, Chris, virtually, without ever talking or seeing your face.
He's a handsome man. I haven't seen his face either.
I'm sure.
Where's a handsome guy?
He probably looks like Doomslayer.
Probably looks like Doomslayer. All right, so I don't know. I think you're right. It could, maybe they're saving it for a June showcase, which honestly that would be a loaded showcase. But then, is Nate the Hate wrong?
By the gods, there is a psychopath.
Well, I think no. I still think Oblivion's coming out in April,
Okay.
but I think you have to remember too that Xbox has South of Midnight in mid-April, and then Doom in mid-May.
Yeah, someone mentioned that. Yeah, Dom mentioned that.
So having a showcase to distract from those two games while they're really trying to pick up as much steam and momentum as possible for those two in particular is probably kind of a tough window to do that in. Like a full showcase. Yeah. I still think they could release Oblivion because it's so different than all the others.
Well,
yeah.
And Oblivion carries a lot of weight because people are hungry for anything Elder Scrolls. I would know. I said I was kidding! Thank you, Red, for the $2 joke. I don't believe you. So there you go. So that was really it. I hope we get a show. I think that would be really cool, and I think it would bring me back. The last thing I'll say is I think it would bring me back to sort of when Bethesda was an independent studio, when I kind of miss... I have mixed feelings about that as a whole, just because we know that Bethesda was kind of going down a scary path with the amount of live service elements that were getting injected into their games. I saw a comment the other day, too. You want to know a funny little weird thing? Redfall, after all is said and done, Redfall is going to be one of the only Bethesda Xbox exclusive titles of all games.
Oh.
Don't know what that made you think of. I have so while she finds that, I have a review of Redfall. I gave it, I think, a 4 out of 10. So anybody who says I'm a Bethesda fanboy, just know that I was harsh on that game. Watch my review. That was my most proud review that I've made, I think. I like the Jedi Survivor.
Do you want to see? You talk about exclusive.
I do. Oh, actually, that is really kind of cool.
And
is that a sticker? Or am I looking at stickers or patches?
They're
patches.
Patches.
That's nice. Where'd you get that?
And
Phil Spencer sent that to you when you played Fallout 76 with me? That is some. I really like. That is a really cool style, I will say.
They are. They're really cool. They're really cool patches.
I don't like the lips on that
one. This is the last one.
That is really cool patches. I gotta say.
Yeah. I actually have 2 sets, and I'm gonna send Lotus 1 set after Lotus gets to where they're moving to. So those were exclusives that they gave away in LA one year. So anyway. I just found them the other day and I was like, I
have
forgot
these.
I had these. And yeah.
Redfall is going to be the only Bethesda Xbox exclusive title, which is crazy to me.
Awesome.
Crazy. If you like exclusives, it's awesome. If you don't like exclusives, it's awesome. Because a lot of people don't like Redfall.
It's not the worst game I've played though, by a long shot.
Oh God, no.
It wasn't too bad.
But it wasn't very good. Did you see my review? I'm not asking you to go watch it now, but I'm just curious.
No, but now I will.
Okay, well,
did you put fangs on and get a cape and
kind of,
get
yeah.
a umbrella?
No, I didn't, but I had someone else did. But I will just say, like, I have a lot of things in that review where, like, the AI just, I was invincible for a little bit, like, I couldn't get killed. The AI just decided to stop attacking me at one point, so I was just palling out and broing with one of the vampires. I was like, whoosh, let's go on an adventure, dude. And then the gameplay, the level was not to what you want from an Arcane game. Like, you want, in Arcane games, you want to have tons of approaches to stuff, and you had, like, 3. You could go through the front door, the attic, or the basement, if there was a basement. And that was, like, the level design. So, I don't know. It is what it is. Dom! Come hang out on one of these streams. Yeah. Come stream with me. Remember when Dom was supposed to be the original co-host when I was going to launch this ages ago? So that about does it for everything I had to share for today. I do like to do just at the end of the show, and I'm going to keep this incredibly brief because I know we are over time presently. But I do like at the end of the show just to sort of dive into just in other news, things that I have going on that aren't related to gaming specifically. And I don't know if you have anything that you want to share that you've been into with your time, but I will say I'll keep this really brief, but I finished Invincible Season 2 recently, and it was phenomenal animated television. If you have superhero fatigue, you're tired of superhero stuff, I appreciate Invincible mixed with The Boys, because Invincible is like, The Boys obviously is like superheroes and they're all kind of dicks and horrible. The Boys is superheroes and they're all kind of dicks. Invincible is like superheroes and some of them are still dicks, but like they're like good. It has more of that like classic like hero, you know, they're trying to be heroes and they're saving the world and all this stuff. So I really love that show. Season 2 was phenomenal. It ended on such a high note for me. And I rewatched the entire first season, loved it just as much the second time as I did the first time, then watched the second season, and it was great. So if you have Amazon Prime, phenomenal TV show. Would really like to, really excited to see what they do. Season 3 they said is coming in 2026, so Amazon is like, let's get more of this coming. So that's exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking because directly in the show they made jokes about how long animation takes. I don't know if you have anything that you've been into that's not related to games that is exciting to you. No? Books, movies, TV, sports.
I've been. I just had a lot of
You got a lot of
stuff
going on.
going on. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of music.
What are you
That's
into?
what I've been doing.
Any new bands?
The Midnight. If you don't know the Midnight, you should definitely go listen to the Midnight. They have a song called Shadows, which I really, really like. It's so good. The band is amazing. The band is just amazing, period. Any song that you listen to would be great.
Did you send me a song by them?
Maybe.
Did you? I feel
Maybe.
like, was a music video of like two people in a room in like separate rooms?
Oh no, that was
That's
a different one. That was
okay.
Yeah. No, that was no. But the Midnight, very good. Shadows, awesome song. And then their most popular song is called Los Angeles, and it's really, really good too. A lot of people take their music and put them to, you know how people take music and put it to like 80s movies or
Yeah.
Drive.
Yep.
Or that one with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone where they dance. I don't
like
remember
Emma
that.
Stone,
I don't remember the name of it. But that movie that they did, it
Mhm.
won like an Oscar or something. But anyway, they take that stuff and they've taken a lot of the Midnight's music and kind of set it to Drive or that
Okay,
one with
that's
Ryan
cool.
Gosling.
That's cool.
Just that's the vibe that they have. La La
La La
Land.
Land.
Thank you, Slow Lark. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But it's very, very good. They're very good.
Nice. I love
And
that.
Gunship.
I love that.
Best.
I'm looking for new music. I'm actually gonna go. There's the Blue Stones is like the band that I'm trying to see them
I
live.
like them.
Yeah, I just recently found the Blue Stones, and I like them because they sound like the Black Keys, and I think actually their new
They
album.
do.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I thought too. Yeah.
and I love the Black Keys. I've seen the Black Keys live twice. They're one of my favorite bands, and the Blue Stones I found by accident. Right, it was just one of the times that Spotify got it right and recommended something, and I was like, holy hell. And then I dived deeper into it, and I found that they're really small. Like, they don't have a big following,
which I love because when you see them, they're small venues and it's phenomenal.
Oh, you seen them live?
Really good. Well, I've seen the Midnight Live. I'm just saying bands that size, like you get to see them in the small places, and it's like I don't even want to go to concerts at like big like city arena.
Yeah, I saw Cage the Elephant
anymore,
at Madison Square Garden, and it was just like, it was huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And it wasn't as special.
Yeah, I agree. No, that's funny because I really like the Blue Stones. I thought I was the only one. You know, Empire of the Sun is going to be here in April, and I am dying to go see them. And they're going to be at Red Rocks. If you are interested, I would love to take a weekend and just fly out to Red Rocks, see Empire of the Sun perform there on back. Because if you ever get a chance to go to Red Rock, you should. It's amazing. It's like known to be the most like it's this outdoor,
I'm glad I could wake you up.
It's this outdoor venue in Denver, just outside of Denver, in the Red Rocks. You know, they have a lot of red rock there, and they've carved this outside arena, totally open. There's just
is
a
it called
band
Red Rocks
shell
Amphitheater?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that up. It is
known as like, yes, it's like known as like one of the most perfectly built acoustic places for people to play. So the music that comes out is phenomenal. You're under the stars. It's all out in like the desert mountains. It's so good.
It looks really cool. I'm looking at a picture now. I'm gonna pull it up
so good,
so other people can see as well. That does look really, really cool.
It's really nice there. I like would road trip over there. I think it's only like from here. Is it 14 or 20? I can't remember. An hour drive. It's either 14 or 20. Either way, you can do it. It's not too bad.
So here you go, guys. This is a photo of the theater. At least one side of it, looking at the audience. And then
the band shell is like they're standing at the band shell taking the picture out, and everything around is just those natural red rocks.
And here's
kind of
one. It's
around
probably a little bit edited, this one. But, that is really, really cool, actually. The color looks a little bit oversaturated. But there you go.
Yeah. See? Yep.
Which that's
No, you
really,
think it's
really cool.
oversaturated, but that's how that's how red those rocks
Is it?
really are.
Wow.
Like, yes. Yes.
That's
yes. It's natural.
That is cool. So yeah,
it's
I
one of the
absolutely,
coolest places to go.
I would love to go do that. No, that's awesome. And I saw a couple other people were sharing some there, like, one, if I had, where is it? Arcane Realm said Sleep Token. Do you know Sleep Token?
I do not.
Okay. Sleep Token is one.
And Dom, you're right. Like, it's built so perfectly that a lot of times they just go play acoustic and they don't even need like sound equipment. Like, if it's the right, setting and stuff, because it just reverberates in there. It's perfect.
Dom is great for this because he makes music. He does singing guitar, so he knows all about this.
Cool.
FarQ downloaded the Bluestones' latest album. Having a quick skip through, sounds great so far. The latest Bluestones album is my least favorite. If you want to listen to what I like from them, it's the album Black Holes. And then there's a song on it called Black Hole Solid Ground, which I just listened to that driving, and I'm just like, bah! Like completely headbanging as I'm driving down the road. I look like a lunatic, but it's just it's that Shaking Off the Rust is amazing. So that album Black Holes is great, but their new one is a little bit
One
more
by One.
One by
That's the song I
One.
really like. Yeah, I love that song.
Such a good song.
Yes.
Chona says that's a painting to the Red Rocks. It literally looks like it, doesn't it? What is it? The new album from Bluestones is a little bit more grungy. It's called Metro, and it's a little bit more like grunge rocky. It's actually my least favorite of the music they have, but they haven't released the whole album so far, I don't think. Maybe they have. I think it's releasing this month, and then their tour that's going on is the Metro tour. And they're going to a bunch of places. So I know during those tours they usually play music from the new album, hoping they do some of the stuff from their older albums, but or just the rest of the songs in that album kind of capture some of their old style that I like about them, which is the more bluesy rock style stuff. So there you go. But I'll have to check out the band that you mentioned, which I already forgot. The Midnight. And I'll also have to check out Sleep Token, which I will forget in 15 minutes, so you guys can send those to me offline, but I would check them out. That's awesome, though. Cool. So, that's all I got. You look like you're ready to go. I'm ready to go, too.
Yeah.
You gotta eat. Sorry for keeping you.
I got stuff to do.
I know.
Yeah, good.
But I hope you
You're
had
good.
fun.
I enjoyed this. It's fun.
Hope it was
It was a nice
good
change of pace.
Yeah, to get you
Nice change of pace.
to get you busy. So, thank you, everybody, so much for watching episode 9 of the Push Start podcast. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, go play Oblivion because it's the anniversary and it deserves that. Or Doom because Doom Dark Age is coming up. One of those two things. And I hope you enjoyed. So long, everybody. I don't have a ending screen, so we have to go just to the BRB screen because I don't have an ending screen. So we're just gonna go to that.